Welcome to the Viking Spotlight. This is a podcast about people, events, and projects in the North Canton City School District, and I'm your host, Jeff Wendorf. Today's episode features two North Canton teachers who will become assistant principals next year. They are Anna Stangelo, who's a teacher at Northwood Elementary, and Tim Hulse, who's a teacher at North Canton Middle School. Welcome to our podcast.
Thanks. Great to be here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, let's get into it, and it's an exciting time, and sometimes I say a little terrifying time, and especially for you, Anna, coming from Northwood, one of our smaller buildings a little bit, and going to an intermediate building with nearly 1,000 kids. So a lot on your plate coming up. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience as a teacher, and what made you decide to become a teacher.
Well, my husband and I moved to North Canton about 19 years ago, so we've been residents for quite a while. We have 3 children. Our oldest is a sophomore at the University of Cincinnati. We have a senior here at Hoover. He will be going to Gannon University. And then we have an 8th grader who's about to become a freshman. So
Great.
They keep us very busy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
About me as a teacher, though, I've been teaching now for 22 years. I've taught things from reading. I've taught 4th grade, 5th grade, and the last 7 years I've been at Northwood Elementary as a 2nd grade teacher.
Okay, great. Well, let's see, Cincinnati and Gannon, they're opposite directions.
I know. They couldn't make it easy for us.
Kids don't do that, do they?
They don't. No, that's been our experience.
That's great. Tim, how about you?
Well, actually, I have quite a bit in common with what Anna just said. I grew up wearing orange and black, too, although that was at Green High School, just up the street here. So
sure.
I consider myself a local guy as well. But we also have 3 children. I'm married, and our kids are ages 13, 16, and 19. Working through the teenage years.
Sure, yeah.
So when I see parents of our middle schoolers, I certainly know what they're experiencing, and I can connect. I understand.
Recent memory, right?
Yeah, it's a challenge to be a parent today.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my personal side. I enjoy being active, just trying to stay healthy, and I enjoy sports. I still like getting outside and playing some sports and exercising, and just trying to live an active life as much as
Sure.
possible. And then professionally, I've been teaching now for about 20 years, and all in the middle school age group, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, most of that time in a math classroom, but also taught some social studies. And really just looking forward to taking the next step professionally as I move into the administrative role.
Great, that's exciting, and you're right about it's a different world now than certainly when we grew up. I grew up. You guys are of a different era, but different world between us. But for our kids too, and your kids being college age or near college age, and then we have young ones in your building in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade and middle school. You have a lot of influence on kids and their future, and lots of challenges coming at kids, and it's a different time, that's for sure. We do our best to try to make sure they get what they need. But why did you guys become a teacher?
Well, for me, I grew up in a house. Both my parents are teachers, so I grew up around education and with people who valued education. My mom taught elementary, so I'd help grade papers and put stickers on, and that was just something I was like, that's what I'm going to do. But for me, when I got to college, it really, I got into my first field experience, and it just felt right. It was a natural fit for me, and haven't looked back. So I really credit my parents for the direction that my career has taken.
Yeah, neat.
For me, actually, my route to teaching was a little bit non-traditional. I went to college, got a business degree, and I was working in the business world, and I had a job that took me into schools every day. And I was working on computers and rolling out software. And I found myself going into the classrooms, and I'm working on the computer, but I'm really watching what the teacher is doing and how they interact with the students. And that really kind of opened my eyes to what it is to be a teacher, and just how much they can impact a student. And I saw the other side of the school. It was just a whole new perspective for me. So really my desire to teach kind of came as an adult. And I just knew I was sitting there working on the computers, but I'm watching it. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. I wanted to be the person working with the kids, connecting with the kids. And also around that same time in my life, I was coaching. Mm-hmm. Someone asked me to coach a 6th grade basketball team, and I thought, well, sure. I had a lot of basketball in my background, and I loved it.
Neat.
So it was instant connection. I knew that's what I wanted to do, so I went back to college and got a teaching degree and have not looked back since.
Yep, that was the thing, just to see the aha moment or the spark in athletics, trying to help the kids learn how to flip the switch to compete and do that. That's the fun part of education, is to see that, yeah, I get that and I can do that. And maybe they couldn't yesterday, but yeah, good stuff. Well, I'll ask a crazy question. Tim, you first. Why do you want to be an administrator, an assistant principal?
Well, when I got into teaching, it was always about making an impact on kids. And I wanted to connect with them. I wanted to be that role model and kind of guide them through those tricky middle school years. And I'm proud of how that has gone for the past 20 years. I'm happy with that body of work that I've done. And really, as I become an administrator, I'm looking to expand the impact. Mm-hmm. I've worked with kids directly for a long time now, and I've built a lot of life experience, professional experience. So I feel like I can take that impact to the teaching staff and even to the parents and to the families that we serve. So I'm looking to impact not just students, but staff members, families, really our community.
Sure. Yeah, leadership. Yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
Anna, you've done a little bit of leadership in the last few years as coordinating summer school programs for us and doing those things. Did that foster? I assume you thought about it before that, but tell us about your assistant principal quest.
You are correct. Did think about it a little bit before the summer learning opportunity. It was really a nice kind of foray into what administration could look like on a smaller level. Mm-hmm. I had to figure out a lot as far as building a schedule, looking at ordering supplies, some discipline, all on a smaller scale, though, which was a really nice opportunity for me. So I got to kind of see what it was all about, and I agree with Tim. It's the connection piece. I feel like that is a strength, is like those connections with kids, and if we can build that a little further and impact more, I'm excited for that opportunity.
Neat. And you're going to partner with Ryan Kumpf, who's currently an intermediate school principal, to operate the new intermediate, North Canton Intermediate, bringing both Greentown and Orchard Hill together. What do you hope? How do you hope to describe the building next year at this time? Wrapping up in a year, what do you hope to see?
Well, I hope to see a seamless transition. That would be amazing. We're bringing two awesome staffs together. I've had an opportunity to be at Orchard Hill a little bit and Greentown a little bit and get to know a few of the teachers there. I'm excited about the opportunities. I'm excited about what a new building can do for us and the opportunities that will open. One of the things that I'm passionate about is bringing the PBIS program to the intermediate school. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to getting that off the ground and kind of seeing where that takes us to.
Yeah. So what, for our listeners that aren't educators and maybe don't have kids in school, tell me about PBIS.
So PBIS kind of lays the foundation for our behavior management at a school. It stands for Positive Behaviors, Intervention Supports. Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting way to look at it in kind of tiers. So we give students just some truly education on what it looks like, how do we behave, what are our expectations for certain areas of the building. And then from there, we just revisit those throughout the year. And then we, if some students are struggling, we look to help them out a little bit with some interventions.
That's cool. So it celebrates wins. It
Absolutely.
Highlights the expectations. And if you have good behavior and maybe good grades and those kind of things, you get expanded privileges or rewards. Yeah, that's neat. And not just the stick. Yeah, a little bit more of the carrot than the stick, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a big piece of it, is that teaching piece.
Sure.
When a student makes a poor choice, it's, definitely how can we make that choice differently in the future and give them some instruction on how to do that.
Yeah, life is choices. And if we can just pause for just a fraction of a second and make a good decision over a poor one, or at least stop and pause on it, that's a life skill that all of us could use. Right?
For sure. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And at the middle school, Tim, Michael Copa is moving to a data director position with the district, and of course Mrs. Mance is retiring, so there's going to be two new assistant principals, and Mr. Eby will be there as principal, but a new team there. So what do you see for the future of the middle school?
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to coming together with Mr. Eby and Mrs. Peare. and just really forming a good team, a good leadership team at the top. But really, I just want North Canton Middle School to be a place where people thrive. And when I say people, I think of our staff members. I want them to enjoy coming to work every day. I want them to look forward to it. And I want them to really kind of have fun teaching in an effective manner. And I think if they're doing that, then we're going to see that just trickle down to our students. And I want our students to thrive as well. And when you think about middle school, the kids come in as elementary kids and they leave as high school kids.
Right.
And there's a lot of transition that goes through there. And those can be some tricky times for some people.
Absolutely.
But I still think kids can thrive during those times. They're really willing to engage with the content. They still care about their teachers, and they're vibrant and they're lively. They have a lot of energy. And I just want that to come out in a positive manner. So, I hope to see kids thrive academically, socially, emotionally, physically as they go through all the changes. And we have a lot of programs in place at the middle school that I think can allow that to happen.
Yeah, you guys do the PBIS as well.
Absolutely.
And some other things, yeah. Good.
Yep.
Well, who looking in your past, either as a student or maybe a colleague or so on, who's influenced you the most in your education and your career, I guess?
Well, that's a great question. I was fortunate early in my career that I connected with another teacher, and he really kind of took me under his wing. He was a veteran. He was vibrant and lively. He understood what it is to be a middle school teacher and how to connect with these kids and how to keep the kids first and how to lead your classroom. And he was also a coach, and he really kind of taught me how to coach the middle school grade level as well. So I was really fortunate. He's long now retired. You may never hear this podcast, but his name was Mike Heidi, and I'm so thankful that I had him at an early point in my career to kind of show me how to do this middle school thing, because I've benefited from his wisdom even to this day.
Sure. Yeah. Well, if maybe we'll find his email or find him and shoot him this email. I'm sure he's proud of you.
All right.
I'm sure he is. Yeah. Good. Anna, how about you? Who's had an influence on you?
Well, definitely my parents, being both
Yeah, right.
educators. But when I think back, I had a second grade teacher who, her name was Mrs. Moss, and again, probably retired for sure. But as I think back, I don't know that I can recall academics necessarily that she taught me, but it was that environment. It was that you walked in and you were met with a warm smile. It was all about that climate of that classroom. I felt comfortable there. She made it comfortable, and that's still impactful for me today, thinking about my impact on my students as they walk in, being that smiling face that greets them, and hopefully to make that same impact too.
Right. Very cool. Well, with a lot of change in the district this year coming up in the next few months, and bringing our buildings together and new leadership at the middle school in some ways. But Anna, what would you tell parents of third, fourth, and fifth graders next year? What are one or two or three things you would tell parents to do to help their kids be successful?
I think with number one, just be present. Be present in their life. I think it's so important to have those conversations with your kids away from a device. That is something that I would definitely ask them to do. Let's see, what else would I tell parents to do? Just that check-in piece. I think that mental check-in piece is very, very important. Check in with your teacher, check their backpack still. Like, they are getting older, they are getting more independent, but some definitely need that parental guidance still to be that person. And I think it's important for students then to see their parents and that school being one. That connection piece is very, very important. It's key, for sure.
Good, thanks. Tim, how about the successful middle school experience? What's it take?
Yeah, well, middle school, as I already mentioned, it's such a unique time in life. So, I would say to parents as your students come in as sixth graders, take a few mental snapshots, because that's really your last view of them as little kids. Because they're going to grow up pretty quickly here. They're going to turn into young adults, and that's going to be a transition in your life. And you're going to see that elementary kids start to become a high school student. And during that time, parents remember they still need you. Like, they may start to kind of push away or pull away with independence, but they still need mom and dad or grandma and grandpa checking in their life. They still need that adult presence and that security that comes from a solid home. So still be there for them. and keep the communication open as much as possible. You know, we have a lot of technology which you think would connect us, but sometimes it separates us, especially in those middle school years. So find a way where you can still communicate with your middle school child and keep a connection with them, because they still need you in their lives.
Right, absolutely. Yep, they still do. And mine are 30 and 28. They still need that. The parents may need it then as much as the kids do. But absolutely, yeah, good stuff. Well, it is a different world, and you know, every 5 years or so, it changes dramatically, and things are changing faster. And you're right, it does go faster. And it seems like those high school years just flew by, and next thing you know, you're doing weddings and grandbabies and all that. So, which is a blast. It's a blast.
We're not ready for that quite yet.
I know you got time. But it is fun. But I guess my point is it goes really fast, and lots of fun, and lots of terrifying situations as well. But that's life, and you get through it together and communicate, love each other, and it's a good thing. So
and I would add to that, you know, in middle school, sometimes people think it's such a strange time. But there's some great moments in
middle
there.
school's a blast.
It's a lot of fun, and you're going to have some great memories with your kids too.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Just be their parent, but also have fun, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes, be their parent. That's the key thing. So yeah, right, good. Well, anything else you guys want to share about yourselves or your careers or North Canton schools or?
You know, I would just share my excitement at this point. You know, this is a major transition for myself.
Sure.
And I am just so looking forward to stepping into the middle school next year as an administrator, as a leader for the staff and for the students. I can't wait to welcome the incoming 6th grade class and then watch them grow through 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and prepare them for high school. So, I just want to share just the positive vibes and the excitement that I'm feeling right now.
Good. Yep. I feel that. Good.
Yeah, and I think I'd echo that as well. That excitement is building, and I think we are so fortunate to be a part of North Canton Schools. I know we moved here purposefully for all of the opportunities offered to our children, and I'm excited to continue to offer those opportunities to all of the families we serve.
Great. Thank you both very much for joining us. And, I usually talk about North Canton being a great place for kids, but Tim, I like what you said. It's a great place for people. And I think that speaks to the district as for students, but for staff as well, and also the community. It's a great place for people. I like that. Yeah. So thanks for what you do to make it that way, and wish you the best next year. Get some rest this summer if you can, but it'll be quite a transition for you, and I know you'll do great. So thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thank you.
And thanks to our listeners for joining us today. This podcast is a great way for us to share outstanding information and outstanding people that are in the district and so on with our residents and with our families and community. And if you have any questions about the podcast or suggest any other topics, make sure to let us know. Best way is either by calling the district office or sending an email to vikingspotlight@northcantonschools.org. And we welcome your thoughts on this podcast, but also on any others. And keep an eye out for our end-of-year communications for all the activities for end-of-year, but also announcements for next year's changes coming at us. So thank you all very much, and go Vikings.